Hey guys, welcome to Grammar and Writing Lesson 65. So we are talking about sentences, particularly regular sentences, compound, fragments, and run-ons. So a sentence, that's a subject and a verb that makes a complete thought. You can have a subject and a verb without having a complete thought, and that's a problem, okay? It's not a sentence. Here, your sentence says, Ben read the whole book in one weekend. Your subject, or let's look for our verb first. What's the verb? The action. Read. Who read? Ben read. So you have a subject and you have a verb. Is there a whole thought, or are you wondering what else is going on? Yeah, you have a whole thought here. Ben read the whole book in one weekend. You're not left with any questions about what happened or who did it or anything like that. Everything is answered. So it's a complete thought. It is a sentence. Now, a compound sentence is two or more of these sentences correctly joined with either a semicolon or a comma and. That's a compound sentence. And you will need to identify those on today's homework. So there's not a slide talking about the compound sentences, but you've already learned them. So just remember that's what they are. Hang on, guys. My PowerPoint's not working. 1 second, everyone. Okay. So a fragment, that's a part of a sentence. There is no complete thought. For example, although he prefers outdoor recreation. If you look closely, you can see that there is a verb, prefers, what the person likes best. And who prefers? He prefers. But do we fully understand what's going on, or are we left with questions? Although he prefers. Yeah, we're left with questions. Although he prefers outdoor recreation, what? He still went camping, or he never goes outside? What could it be? So you're left wondering what is the complete thought for this particular sentence. So let's practice identifying whether something is a fragment or a sentence. Look at the first one. If we confess our sins, is this a fragment or a sentence? Does it have both a subject and a verb as well as a complete thought? I want you to write down your answer wherever you're taking your notes. Okay, next, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins. Sentence or fragment? Okay, if you haven't written down your answers yet, make sure you write those down. The first one, if we confess our sins, is a fragment. Why? We have a subject and a verb, confess, we, but because of this little word if, it shows that there's something else that happens if we confess our sins. If we confess our sins, what? Down here, this is a sentence because we do have a subject and a verb. First of all, is, who is, he is. He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins. We're not left with any questions about what he is doing or who he is or anything like that. Well, how could we fix that fragment up there? If we confess our sins, comma, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins. So we corrected it by joining it to the second sentence. You can join a fragment to another sentence with a comma. That is perfectly fine. Because it's not a complete sentence, only a comma is needed. So you can join it to another sentence that it would make sense with, or you can write the rest of the thought. You can complete the thought. Let's practice another one. When he arrived, is that a sentence or a fragment? Okay, the next one. We all yelled surprise. Sentence or fragment? All right, if you haven't written down which one each one is, do that now. The first one is a fragment, once again, because even though we have a subject and a verb, he arrived, that word when makes us wonder, well, what happened when he arrived? It's not a complete thought. We all yelled surprise. Well, we have our verb yelled, woo. We have a subject, we. Is this a complete thought? We all yelled surprise. Yeah, it is. So this is a sentence because it is a complete thought. So how could we fix this fragment up here? When he arrived, comma, we all yelled surprise. So we change this sentence, or this letter, we make it a lowercase letter instead of a capital letter because it's now no longer the first word of the sentence. And we join it with our fragment by a comma. So this again is an example of how we can join it to the next sentence. This will be very common in your writing because you may not realize that you've created a fragment when you're quickly writing. But also, if you just create a fragment and it can't join into the next sentence, you just need to finish the thought. Now let's talk about run-ons. A run-on is two or more sentences incorrectly joined so that it acts as one. Glenn managed to find the time. It was important to him. Okay, this is a run-on because it's incorrectly joined by just a comma. A comma is not strong enough to join two complete sentences. Glenn managed to find the time could stand by itself. It was important to him could also stand by itself. So how should I write this? Glenn managed to find the time, comma, and it was important to him. So having a comma and a conjunction, the most common conjunction is and or but. That is a very strong way to connect your sentences. Now you have a compound sentence because you have a verb and a subject here in its own complete sentence, and you have a second verb and subject set. That makes it compound. Same thing with the next way to solve it. Glenn managed to find the time, semicolon. It was important to him. Still compound because we still have two separate verb sets, subject verb sets, but this semicolon is able to stand by itself, unlike a comma. It's much stronger. And then here's another way. Glenn managed to find the time, period. It was important to him. So we capitalize the it because it's now starting its own sentence because we changed it into two separate sentences. Okay, let's practice. The sleek convertible screeched to a halt at the light, then it pulled away with a roar. Okie dokie, artichokes, what should go here? You could correct this several ways. You could correct this by putting and there after the comma. It's going to take me a second to write it. You could also correct it by changing that comma to a semicolon instead of just being a comma. Or you could correct it by making this a period and changing this to a capital letter and making two separate sentences. Now for your homework for today, you need to complete Language C, page 69. You're labeling the sentences as run-ons, fragments, compound, or complete sentences. So make sure you follow the directions. Let me know if you have any questions about that. This is practice all of this week and next week. Your grammar pages, not your writing, but your grammar pages are practice for your evaluation on Friday. So if you have any questions at all, let me know. For today, love you guys very much. Bye.